Are you serious? Are you serious? Folks, the Arctic permafrost is thawing. Al Gore, did you cause this with the global warming? Well, here's what I'm not as worried about. It doesn't matter who caused it. The earth is going to melt with fervent heat, okay? So you can say it's man-made, you can say it's God-made. It won't make no difference. It's going to happen. But in the process, that's 2 Peter chapter 3. But in the process, we got a situation developing here. And the Arctic permafrost, according to scientists, is thawing. But it's unleashing a vicious cycle. The unfrozen soil releases its carbon reserves that intensify the climate change that some are talking about, in turn accelerating the thaw. Okay. So now researchers have reported another disturbing discovery. This is more disturbing. The theory of climate change, global warming, global mini ice age. Look, I'm not going to get in that debate. What I will talk about is this. A very disturbing discovery, and that is that the permafrost holds as much greater cachet of mercury than originally thought. And as the ground warms, it could potentially release this toxic metal on the world. In a new study published this week on the Geophysical Research Letters, an international team of scientists have drilled 13 notice the number, 13, Illuminati, 13 permafrost soil cores at various locations in Alaska. And back at their lab, they analyzed the frozen cores to measure the factors such as moisture, organic carbon, and mercury content. Now, the 50 to 100 centimeter cores span a time between 22,000 and 2,400 years ago, if you're going by scientific data or their documentation, meaning that the vast majority of the mercury they hold came from a non-human source. In other words, a natural phenomenon. The researchers used their measurements to extrapolate an estimate of how much mercury is stored in the entire northern hemisphere permafrost. Their results indicate Arctic permafrost holds about 793 gigagrams of mercury, more than 15 million gallons, or the equivalent of about 23 Olympic swimming pools of pure mercury. According to a research geologist for the U.S. Geological Survey and one of the study authors, when the researchers calculate the amount of mercury likely stored in both the permafrost and the layer of soil that sits above it and routinely thaws for part of the year, they estimate there's a total of 1,656 gigagrams. The active layer and the permafrost together contain nearly twice as much mercury as all the other soils, the ocean and the atmosphere combined, according to researchers in their study. Now, the permafrost is a frozen soil, rock or sediment that stays at or below freezing for at least 2 consecutive years. It covers about a quarter of the northern hemispheric landmass, which helps explain why it holds so much mercury. But permafrost is also unique that its frozen state, it traps the mercury in the soil rather than allowing it to be mobile in the environment. In other locations, such as lower 48 states of the United States, soils are hydrologically connected and mercury cycles through. It doesn't sit and build in a permafrost or topsoil. It's part of the whole global mercury cycle. And in the Arctic, you're looking at the mercury. It's not reacting with the rest of the world. The new findings have potentially massive implications for the ecosystems and human health. Between 30 and 99% of the Arctic's near-surface permafrost is predicted to thaw by the year 2100. What? And according to the study, as it does so, at least a portion of the previously locked away mercury will probably become mobile. It becomes not just an Arctic problem, but it becomes a global problem. according to associate professors in environmental science and engineering at Harvard University, who were not involved in the study, but still making their estimations and their analyzations just the same. So the mercury could either be washed into the Arctic Ocean and then circulated through the global marine system, or escape into the atmosphere and travel to other parts of the planet. Either in the Arctic soil or in the broader environment, mercury can get converted into a form dangerous to humans and other wildlife, including marine animals. The other half of the story is the one that most people are concerned with, is how does this affect the health of our environment, our aquatic system, and this has a major ramifications. Well, of course, they're pushing heavily that global warming is going to bring about this mercury massacre. But the question is still this. So what is, or if there is global warming, what is the cause? Are you going to continue to blame mankind for the thawing of the polar caps? Or are you going to recognize the biblical prophetic narrative that says the earth is going to melt? Not because of man, but because of God and his timing. I'll be back with more current world events and how they relate to biblical prophecy. If you go to 2 Peter chapter 3, you can read how this phenomenon will actually take place. Don't miss today's live broadcast, 12 noon Eastern, at my website at www.paulbegleyprophecy.com.